Hey, Mully here. Before I begin, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. More subscribers makes a really big difference and will allow me to unlock some of the YouTube features to make a better channel. So please click on the subscribe button. Thanks. In the last episode, we had just arrived at Opotiki. We had a great time camping next to the beach. I tried some fishing whilst on a kayak, but unfortunately didn't get any bites. I did, however, tip over on the way back to shore. Due to the amount of driftwood on the beach, we had a chance to light a few campfires as the sun set. We left Opotiki for a long stretch across the East Cape, staying at Manganuku and then an exhausting 15-mile uphill before chickening out for the rest of the day to stay in Matawai. The next day proved much easier as the route was mostly downhill, so we completed the rest of the gorge all the way to Gisborne. Our stay at Gisborne ended up being extended due to the 36-degree heat wave, which we didn't fancy cycling through. It did, however, give us a chance to get up at 4 in the morning and climb up a rather large hill. Gisborne's the first city in the world to get sunrise, so in the end it was pretty worth it. We spent a lot of time in the sea during the stay to keep cool, and there were plenty of big waves to keep us entertained, and I can see why all the surfers from all over visit there. The next stop was a place called Mulliver. En route we were stopped by a guy called Dennis who'd seen us pushing up a hill. He told us that the next part of the journey was up an extremely dangerous climb with no hard shoulder, tight corners, logging trucks in both directions. He asked us if he could give us a lift and we agreed. He even stopped at the top to show us the amazing view and then took us back to the campsite in Mulliver. The following day we were back on the coast, camping pretty much near the beach in Opotiki, where Dennis came to visit. He lived in the town just down the road, Nuhaka, and offered us a bed and a free meal for the next night. So we took up his offer and stayed in one of the caravans parked in his back garden. Cheers, Dennis. We had a great time staying with you. The day's ride to Wairau was pretty cool, although extremely hard work, which saw us pushing up some fairly big hills. We did see some interesting sights though, plenty of bridges and some wild goats wandering down the tracks. After a hard day's ride, we were unpleasantly surprised by the next one too. A 32-degree day and a lot of mostly uphill struggling. We made it to Lake Tutira, looking forward to a dip in the lake to cool off. We arrived to find that the lake was totally polluted, so we didn't even bother to film it. We finally made it to Napier, where we stayed in a house owned by the Criterion backpackers, and we scored big with this one. We had the entire house to ourselves for a couple of days, a double room, free shower, free unlimited Wi-Fi, free laundry. We felt like royalty, and it's totally crazy that I got so excited about the comforts that I always take advantage of back home. Napier has lots of Art Deco buildings due to an earthquake wiping it out in the 30s, so it was interesting to see, but most towns seem to be the same shops, same things to do here, so looking forward to see more of the countryside. First though, we took a coach all the way back to Auckland, which meant we got to hang out with our good friends Graham and Vera again. It was great to see them and we had a great catch up. The main reason for the detour was due to us having Alexis on Fire tickets. Neither of us had seen them live before, as they split up a few years ago, and we never thought we would until they announced a reunion tour in Australia and New Zealand. So the gig was awesome, such a great performance. I feel very lucky to have been in the country at the right time. From Auckland back to Napier, and straight into pie time. This was a new one for me from the Brown Owl Bakery in Onikawa, a beef and oyster pie. That's right, oyster. It was an interesting flavour. The oyster was only a secondary flavour due to the rich beefy gravy and big lumps of steak. There was a nice crust, not as flaky as like, but a solid pie. I'm also going to talk about a second pie which I had early in the trip, a Mrs. Mack's steak and cheese pie from a small shop in Nuhaka, my first pie from a packet. A pretty stodgy dry crust with a thick processed cheese sauce and huge bits of grizzle in the meat. I was nearly sick. I mean, I still finished it, but I'm not happy about it. Pie time. When we were back at the house, another couple was staying there, Jason and Emily. We had a fantastic time hanging out. Emily is currently writing a blog about their journey, so I'll put a link to that in the description below. Make sure you check it out. We left Napier for a short ride to Hastings, another Art Deco town, where we took an extra day climbing the Tamata Peak for some great views over Hawke's Bay. Then on to Waipukaru, where we met a fellow cyclist from the UK. Charlie was absolutely caning it around New Zealand with the distances we could only dream of. We talked about our very, very different experiences into the evening. I'll also put a link to his blog below, a few funny experiences I'd recommend taking a look. After an absolutely horrendous night of not sleeping due to high winds and our tent being right next to State Highway 2, with all night trucking, we spent an extra day there. I wasn't up for doing anything apart from being tired, hot, annoyed at the insects and emotionally unstable. I think it was the worst day of the trip so far, but it was short-lived as a couple of calls back home in the next morning cheered me up again. So back on the road to Parangahau Beach.
So Frankie's just been blown off her bike by the looks of it. I really want to go back and help, but I just cycled through a huge swarm of bees that were just buzzing around. She's got that to look forward to though. There's not much I can do about it.
Then on to Wimbledon, passing the longest place name in the world. Taumata Whaka Tangi Hanka Ko. No. Taumata Whaka Tangi Hangako Aua Tamate Aturi Puka Piki Manga Horo Nuka Poka Pokai Wen Nua Kitana Taho. Nailed it. Wimbledon, not named for its terrible tennis court behind the school. It was an extremely small town with no campgrounds, but the owners of the Wimbledon Tavern were kind enough to let us stay on the grass next to the pub free of charge. Of course, we felt obliged to eat exclusively the great food that they cooked there, and with an extremely wet day, we had a few of them. We were offered a night in another bed, this time with Ollie and Greg. Greg cooked us power fritters, a popular New Zealand abalone. They were very tasty and I'd eat them again. Pongaroa was the next stop, and due to us running extremely low on food, we couldn't wait to get to the small shop there. We arrived around 2 o'clock and found the shop closed at midday. Tomorrow, Sunday, also closed. And Monday was Waitangi Day, a national holiday, so it definitely wouldn't be open then either. We stayed the night anyway and pushed on to Alfreton down a really quiet Route 52. Sealed roads, no traffic, perfect. However, no traffic meant no shops. Well, there was traffic, but no cars. Alfreton Domain, we met yet more cyclists. Clearly a popular route going both directions. And then finally to Masterson. We are on the last leg of our journey of the North Island to make it to Wellington before getting the ferry over. In the next video, we'll show us going over the difficult Rimatuka Range and onto the South Island. That's all for now. please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.